Sorry guys, I had some issues. This storm is messing with my connection, so bear with me. Hey everybody, this is Unspoken Truth Podcast. I'm your host, Denise Johnson. Today's topic is mental health. Let me know if you guys can hear me. I know that the storm is kind of messing with my connection, so okay, good. Thanks, Mom. Um, so, um, this is Unspoken Truth Podcast. I am the host, Denise Johnson. Today's topic is mental health. Um, I think that it's a topic that we need to discuss. It's been quite a few celebrities that's committed suicide over the last week or so. But I know personally quite a few people that's not famous, that's not celebrities, that has decided to do the same. So I feel like it's something that we need to talk about and address. Um, I'm a very transparent person, so I'm going to be sharing some of my truth, where I come from, some of the struggles and issues that I've had stemming around mental health. Um, yeah. So I guess I'll start by saying um, I come from pretty much a similar background as a lot of people. Um, in my family, it was a lot of dysfunction, a lot of mental health issues, but no conversations really about it. You know how to be emotionally stable, how to cope with things, how to deal with things, um, how to express yourself. And I would say that probably is most of my life. This is just my story. I can remember at about 14 years old, my parents trying to get me a therapist, and I was just so rebellious and so resistant about the help. I had heard and been told, well, if you talk to somebody, then something wrong with you. When clearly we see that life is just the complete opposite. If you don't talk to nobody, then something is wrong with you. I can honestly say it took me quite a bit of time to realize, hey man, you need to talk to somebody, and there's nothing wrong with you talking to somebody. Um, I want to say my journey began on just self healing and self development and mental health awareness. 2020, in the midst of a pandemic, which had a lot of people's mental all messed up. I think we got quite a few people now with PTSD. I was definitely diagnosed with it. Um, but I would say that the pandemic didn't have nothing to do with it. I would say traumatic experiences, unhealed traumas, played a huge factor in it. But I just decided that I was just going to dedicate a significant amount of time to just working on myself and giving to myself what I give to everybody that I care about, friends, family, associates, just people in general. Because I kind of played that role with people for a long time, whereas I'm the anchor, and over time you start to feel empty, you start to feel depleted, you start to be tired, and not just physically, but in every sense of the word, emotionally, mentally, physically, just exhausted. I just found myself just feeling tapped out. And I have always been told that I'm a very strong person, but I don't think that people realize that the strong person um, need some help too. Need some encouragement, somebody to talk to, a safe haven, a place where they could find peace with whatever it is they dealing with. Um, I also feel like a lot of people choose not to tell people about their mental battles for fear that they will be, talked about, that they would be ridiculed, they would be made fun of, they would be treated less than. And that's hard, that's tough. I can say that suicide has definitely crossed my mind before. Um, I don't believe that I would ever follow through with it, but I mean, honesty and acceptance is the first step. If you're not gonna truly be real with yourself, then you don't really want no help. You want pity. Um, you want somebody to feel sorry for you. You don't necessarily want no help. I feel like sharing our truths and our experiences help other people, as well as help ourselves heal, you know, some trauma. Because I feel like a lot of mental health and dysfunction stems a lot around trauma, different things that happen to you in your life. I know for me, I thought that I had got over a lot of stuff. I thought, you know, because I didn't think about it or because I found a spot for it in the back of my mind somewhere that, it was done. I had victory over that particular thing, but I later realized that I hadn't even begun to fight any of the battles that I was dealing with. I spent more time running, you know, from my problems, running from my issues, blaming a lot of people, um, being very self destructive and self sabotaging. Um, I just decided I was gonna get real with myself. I was gonna face it. I was gonna deal with it. I was gonna do whatever it took for me to, heal some of my issues or traumas. I also started meditating. I created a space for myself in my bedroom that I said that I would do once I found a house that was big enough for me to do. I call it my altar. I don't know if a lot of people is very spiritual or not, but it's a place I go, and I reboot, I reset, I recharge. I spend time with myself. I talk to God. You know, I learned how to just be at peace with the stuff that I couldn't control, which, let's be clear, a lot of that is your past. You can't control it. Whatever is done is done. Only thing you can do with your past is learn from it. Learn from your mistakes. Learn from your past, the things you've done. Learn what not to do again. But there's no changing it. You can't change your past. All you can do is change your future. So I just started getting real with myself. A lot of people, um, they don't want to get real with themselves. Um, they scared to sit with themselves. They scared to confront the things that's holding them back, the things that's stopping them from growing, the things that's stunting their growth, period. It's just, and I'm one of those people. I was like, I could give it all the best advice to everybody else, but I couldn't receive and accept none of that same advice for myself. And that started to really open my eyes to me um, being a people pleaser, um, being being too available, having too much, giving too much access to people, and not allowing myself to create a space where I could get refilled, and so I could be of help to somebody. Um, you know, hey,
Hi, how are you?
good. How you
Everybody.
doing? Hey, how y'all
Yeah,
doing?
so we have the whole team here getting in on this podcast.
Okay, thank y'all so much. Okay,
Absolutely.
so I was just telling a little bit of my truth. The
Okay.
name of my podcast is Unspoken Truth. A lot of the topics is gonna be some hard stuff that we should talk about, but we try to avoid.
Absolutely.
Today's topic is mental health. Um, I thought this would be a good topic, seeing as though over the last week, about three different celebrities then decided that they were going to commit suicide. But I even want to go just a little deeper than that by saying that I know personally normal, regular people that have decided to do the same. And the impact that that's had on the people that know them, the people that's related to them, just, in general. So I thought, hey, let's talk about it. I feel
Absolutely.
like you can't address and heal none of the issues that you facing if you don't talk about it first. So I started the podcast off with saying, I come from I want to say a very dysfunctional family, but dysfunction. Um, Mental health plagued, my entire family growing up, but there was not conversations. We didn't talk about emotions. We didn't discuss how to deal. We didn't discuss how to cope, with a lot of things. So I got a lot of elders in my family that's literally 50, 60 years old that's still walking around with a lot of stuff that they just didn't deal with. You know.
Absolutely. And I think that a big part of that is because we have been taught since the beginning of time that black people should not discuss things that do not, that happens in their home. We're
Hmm.
supposed to keep all that stuff to ourselves. And I think that by that logic, that thinking that they put on us, I think that's the reason why a lot of us feel like we have nowhere to go. We have nowhere to turn. We don't want to go to, they call it the white man. Don't put the white man in your business. We don't want to go to counselors. We don't want to do things like that. It has a lot to do with the way that we were raised and to not speak on those things that cause trauma and pain in our life that happen in our families. We can't do anything about that. But the best part about it is to definitely take a hold of your life and understand that that logic of thinking is dumb, flat out dumb. We need to have somebody to talk to. We need to have this floor. This is a great topic. We need to have that floor open so we can have this discussion available so that people can speak about what's going on with them. That's very important.
Well, I would say, for me, I just got to a place. I think everybody got a breaking point.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, some people's breaking point end up being, fatal because they have carried a lot of stuff that they just simply, most of the stuff that we carry, if you stop and you unpack it all, a lot of it don't even got nothing to do with you. It's stuff that you done picked up along the way in life. It's other people's issues that you didn't decided to take on. It's other people's emotional well being and state that you didn't decided you could fix. Um, it don't necessarily always, the bag don't always be full of stuff that's necessarily pertaining to you.
Absolutely.
It's experience. You know, I would say I decided to get therapy in the middle of a pandemic. You know, and I also started a business too, where most people the pandemic broke them in a lot of ways. You
I
know,
have a
it.
question. Would you have gotten, would you have, you said you had got, you spoke to someone, right?
Mhm.
Would you have done that 8, 10 years ago?
No. Mm-mm.
Why not?
Because I just feel like I wasn't in that space mentally
Right.
where I needed to be. And honestly, you know, I look at things totally different now because I'm grateful that God didn't offer me the same things He offering me now back then because I wasn't ready.
Yeah.
I
You didn't know what to
wasn't
do with
I
it, right?
wasn't gonna do what I was supposed to do with it. I was gonna miss the boat. I wasn't gonna do what I should be doing with the resources and the platforms and my voice. Period. You know, it's been some years I've been talking about a podcast. You know, just because I feel like a lot of celebrities and famous people use these same platforms and they don't use them for what's important. You know, that unfortunately a lot of them they do have a lot of control over our children. You know, what they believe, what they think, you know, what they aspire to look up to. For me, it was just like I had finally hit rock bottom, you know, whatever that looked like, you know, for somebody. That's just where I was at. And I was like, okay, all right, God, like I've done everything that I wanted to do outside of having you in my life. You know what I'm saying? So now, if I'm gonna do anything different, it's gotta include you. You know, and so that was just more so of a personal conversation with God. You know, and so it just started with therapy. I would have never done it 8 to 10 years ago. Absolutely not, because I had that same mindset as a lot of people. If you
Absolutely.
talk to somebody, then something is wrong with you. But clearly, we see that that's a lie. That if you don't talk to somebody, then something is wrong with you because it's human nature for us to coexist with each other, for us to talk about stuff, for us to share. It's the very definition behind information. It's not for you to just store it; it's for you to share it. You know, and I think that the only difference between a lot of generations, mine's, yours, and some of the older generations is just that, exactly what you said. They got taught that they don't, whatever happens in their household, to not speak about it. What happens in your household stays in your household. But see, I didn't get raised like that. I got raised that you have a voice, that you need to use it and never let nobody mute you from that.
Absolutely.
You know, so that is the only thing that divides us, I believe. It is not nothing else. It's not what they told us about race and all of this other stuff because mental health is not it's not a color thing. And we
Absolutely.
clearly see that it's all walks of life that's struggling on the mental level. I feel like you gotta get to the core of whatever it is. Everything about us mentally, emotionally, physically starts with the mind. You know, so if the mind is sick, then every other area of your life is gonna be sick. You know, and we try to figure out how we could get around those things, but you can't get around it. You know, it starts with the mind before the mind, you know, leads the body. You know, a lot of people they don't want to sit with themselves. That's hard. It's like, okay, well, if I sit with myself, then I gotta feel all these emotions. I don't want to feel these emotions, so I'm never gonna sit with myself. I say that because that's who I was for a long time. I always had to be in a relationship. I always had to be around somebody. I just had this fear of being by myself without realizing that that's really the only way you can open up the doors to really figuring out who you are for real. You know, because as long as somebody is around, it's too much noise for you to even comprehend and understand what it is you need to hear from God. because that's the source, that's the plug. But we done been told so many times that it's this or it's that, or this is what the plug is, or this is who put us on, when it's none of those things if you don't seek him. And I could say, like, I used to be mad at God. I used to be pissed off. Like, yeah, you letting all this stuff go on in my life. Like, if you love me, why would you let this type of stuff go on? And when you encounter people who you could tell what level they on mentally by the things they response to when you say stuff like that. Cause I'm a realist, Most people they gonna think it. I'ma say
it. That's me.
But
you gotta speak. You gotta speak, man. You gotta talk. But I definitely agree with you. Having that you to you is very important. It's very vital to your success. Like, you would never get over that stepping stone if you're afraid of failure. Being successful is stressful. It takes a lot to be successful. Like, everybody think, oh, this person right here, they driving a Benz, they got this, they got everything. No, they took levels to get there. They're proud of that Benz. They took a minute to soul search themselves. They are where they at because it's their time. You'll know when it's your time because you'll get over that step. You won't be scared no more. And it definitely starts with having that conversation with yourself, and for one, building that relationship with God, whether you're a Christian or not. Just know that there is a higher power, and just being able to put yourself in that moment and accept everything around you. Man, listen.
Shit, girl.
Here, look, John. I know. Look, John. This is John.
Hey, John.
Y'all. We are the Loud Creative Team, the Loud Diamond. It's Rob, Serene, this is John, and this is LaDon. We were actually in our own meeting, but we definitely wanted to hop on here because we wanted to speak on with you about this topic. Mental illness is definitely important for everybody to speak about. So I'm going to let John go ahead.
Hey, John.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Yeah, I have I deal with that every day. I have PTSD. I was in the service, other things, and what I learned is that it starts with you as a person.
Yes.
You have to believe yourself. Everything that you want to desire is inside of you.
Yes.
That's the first step. And
speak.
And just knowing who you are.
Mm-hmm.
Once you know who you are, I advise anybody to seek help, because I was that way. I tried to commit suicide a few times. I was at my breaking point, and it's like I ain't had nobody. But God revealed to me, it starts with you. How can you expect help when you not right?
Yep.
So you have to get right first. Once I got right, all the help came. So I advise anybody, if you're going through something, seek help. You know what I mean? That's the first step. And be okay with you seeking help. Because nobody that's successful got there alone. They had help on the way.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, admit it or not.
I will say that, the world just, everybody just want to be loved, know, and when your perspective is right, because that's why I said I wouldn't have accepted none of the stuff that I currently have going for myself before, because I knew that my perspective was off, my mindset was off, my heart wasn't right. You gotta line yourself up. You gotta first figure out what your purpose is. Right. I think we pray for a whole lot of stuff, but we forget about the stuff that matter. Like, everything about us is centered around our purpose. But if you don't know what that is, then why would you chase it? So yeah, I'm so glad that you spoke on that. I am super proud of you as a black man. There are not enough black men that's willing to speak their truth, no matter how hard it is, because I feel like somebody is gonna get something from this conversation. And truly, that's the only reason why I'm doing this podcast. It's not about money. It's not about likes or views or none of that. It's more so about impact and how many people can I actually help with my voice and the access of people that I do have access to, and how we can together create a community that's going to help our children and their children. Because we not going to solve all of the problems. And honestly, if we did, it would be nothing for our kids and their kids to solve after us. So this is just a start of us like speaking about the stuff that we know is plaguing our communities. We know what's going on in the hood. Why? Because we
Absolutely.
stayed there. You know, we our families grew up there. We know what that is. You know, unfortunately, a lot of people they just won't never get out. You know, and for me, I think that that's the mind is a prison all by itself.
Absolutely.
You know, because I feel like no matter what happens to you in the physical, whatever is going on in your mental, it will supersede whatever is going on in the physical. You know, um, I had a friend commit suicide last year in front of his parents, and I've known him all my life. You know, I've known that he had some issues. I think everybody who knew him knew he had some issues, but I don't think we thought he would go to them extremes. And you know, after we found out like what happened or what led up to it all, you know, again, everybody got a breaking point. And it wasn't like it was an attack on him per se, like all that day, but prior to that day, family members had been jumping on him about the way he was living his life or whatever, you know. And for him to do that in front of his parents, you know, that's trauma, even after the fact, you know. And I believe that trauma is the root to a lot of mental health issues, you know. I can speak from experience, sexual abuse as a child. And I can remember telling, you know, a lot of these kids, stuff is happening, but they ain't telling it because they know that it's a possibility, ain't nothing gonna be done.
Nothing's going to happen.
You know,
Exactly.
and I can remember that same circumstance for myself, you know, regardless to if it meant psychological therapy or if it meant a big girl and big boys program or whatever it was, it just, I didn't feel like nobody showed up for me about that. So I carried that for the rest, you know, till I was in my mid 20s before I realized, like, okay, you gonna have to let some of that go. You know, you gonna have to heal that up. And I just decided to crack my chest open and dig up in there. People don't be wanting to do that because it hurt. But, you know, growth is uncomfortable.
Absolutely.
It's very uncomfortable. And ain't nothing gonna change in your life for the good until you get uncomfortable first. You know, so yeah, I really appreciate y'all. I do. Hi, what you gonna say? What's your name? That's Ladon. Okay. Hi, Ladon.
Hi. Um, I was just gonna comment on what you were saying as far as the discomfort and how things get uncomfortable when it comes down to just having that conversation. One, the initial conversation of, "Hey, I'm struggling with mental health," and then the second one. Okay, the second being the fact that you know it's uncomfortable being told how I guess you could say like how you think, and then if you're not sharing this with somebody who's supported, having to worry about being accepted or it being accepted. So not everyone, like for example, my experience with mental health, if I would have gotten the help that I needed early on when I first graduated from high school and took my first year in college, then I probably wouldn't be in a place where now I'm still trying to figure out what's the right medication for me, and am I still dealing with anxiety, or is this just a fragment of my mind trying to tell me that I'm still dealing with it because it wants me to think that I still need the medication. It's a lot of different things that you go through, but having a support system that helps you to have these conversations openly and make it comfortable. We need to get comfortable with the uncomfortable.
Yes.
That's just really how I feel
Yes,
about it.
Queen. Yes, Queen. Thank you so much for sharing, man. Thank you. I can speak from that too. But I think that even that is part of the brainwashing. With them making us believe that therapists tell you how to think. They don't. Because my therapist, I just share a whole lot. and she just give me different tools to help me like cope, like the meditating stuff. I was already doing that before I started therapy, but she just taught me different ways to, like, say for instance, because some days are better than others. You know, some days I suffer from anxiety too, and I also have PTSD. And some days I'm just like through the roof. My anxiety is just all over the place. I can't figure out how to calm down. And she just then taught me different ways for me to just slow my breathing down and relax. And no, it's not something that you could just snap your finger and do. It definitely is a process. But she taught me how to like just pat my thighs, you know, and synchronization, and just allow my mind to focus more on what I'm doing with my hands versus what my mind is thinking. So then I can allow myself to de-escalate from whatever level I'm on, if that makes any sense.
Absolutely.
And it has been extremely helpful for me because, I mean, like for instance, I'm a single mother, you know. Diamond knows, but I mean, you guys don't know that, but I'm a single mother. I've raised 3 children. My oldest is 20 years old. My youngest is 17. And my middle child will be 19 this month. So now I have been through quite a bit. But the crazy part about it all is my kids have had to experience and go through all those same things with me. Because I grew with them. And they grew with me. So a lot of stuff, you know, I used to be so hard on myself about, you know, oh, well, you could have did this different, or you could have did that different, or maybe you shouldn't have did that, but there is no book to parenting. You know, there's, I mean, it's been plenty of books to be published about parenting, but experience is the best teacher. You can read 1,000 books, but what works for somebody else may not work for you and your situation and your family, you know. And I had to learn that, you know, but it's a lot of things that I feel like it stems from your childhood too. You know, I'm realizing that a lot of stuff that I used to say when my kids was growing up, like, oh, well, she's shy, that automatically allows their brain to start mimicking the characteristics of being shy.
Your phone is cutting in and out.
You know, I realized that the stuff that you say to your kids when they're younger actually sets the tone in their brain for them to mimic the characteristics of what you speak. So now, if you constantly saying, oh, well, they shy, or they just have a hard time with this, or they can't, then the brain starts setting up frequencies within their brain for them to mimic those characteristics. So then they start being shy. And then they start having an issue with things because that's what they heard you speak over them. You know what I'm saying? And I just think about, I didn't have that when I was growing up. My mother worked. You know, a lot of us had parents that worked, that wasn't necessarily present. And I feel like that did a lot of breaking to children as well. Not having our parents be emotionally present for us growing up because they had to choose between work and feeding their families over the potential mental health of their children. And that's why we have a lot of grown-ups now that suffer from mental health issues because they didn't get the bond between the mother and the father in the beginning. So then they really didn't even have an example on how they should carry themselves, how to be emotionally stable. I don't remember anybody ever telling me that. You know, that if you don't have emotional stability, then it's hard for you to have anything worth having in life, you know. In other words, not allowing your emotions to control you, but for you to learn how to control them. That's hard for a lot of people. You know, because it forces them to have to deal. That's why I say a lot of people just don't want to deal. For fear that whatever feelings may come up, that those are permanent. But I learned that your feelings is temporary. And that your feelings is schizo. You not schizo. Your feelings is schizo.
Absolutely.
You know, and that it's temporary. It don't last very long.
It's really a all about that law of attraction. It's the way that you think. It's everything that plays a part into how you move forward. Digging back on what you were just speaking on when you were talking about how children mimic that. It's just the same as how a lot of us, waking up, cussing our kids out in the morning on the way to school. That plays a big part into their day, going into the school as well.
Yeah.
Especially those different, like my son, I don't do that to my kids because I've learned now, I know now, but my son's in middle school. Things like that play onto those kids, and them kids, they not just feel like, as far as mimicking character-wise, they go into there with angry, they're aggressive. Then most people trying to figure out, why is this kid bullying? Why are these kids doing this? Why are they doing that? And the parents, not even just the parents, there's wherever they live, wherever they are, is really embedding on them a lot, which makes them go out into this community and they act how they feel. So emotions really do play a lot of, but emotions, like you said, they're just temporary. They really are. But once you get over that hump, but how do you?
Yeah.
How do you get over that hump? That is the biggest
Well,
that failure of success is really strong, man. It's
really strong. It is.
I'm not gonna mention any names, but we did just have a situation similar to that. And after speaking to speaking to someone young, of course, someone young, and they kind of just had some things on their chest, And then speaking to them later, it came out that they were scared to go to that next step. They are afraid of what the future holds for them because they feel like they may not be good enough to do that, to move forward,
and
to be in their gifts, to get out of that mental crowdness they are in right now. So the biggest thing is, how do they move past that with having mental illness, having all of these things on their chest, on their mind? How do you even get over that next step?
Okay. Yeah, I want to hear what she got to say too.
Hey, how y'all doing?
How you doing?
Okay, so for me, it was really big for me to have to learn to love myself. It all comes with realizing that you have to love yourself. I'm realizing now as I'm a crisis counselor, so I talk to a lot of people in crisis. So I realize now there's a lot of people waiting for somebody to come and save them. And you have to be strong enough and brave enough to reach out for help. Like, a lot of people, they don't want to ask for help, but you have to ask for help because you're waiting for somebody to come and check on you, somebody to ask you, are you okay? And most of the time, for me, most of the time it's not going to happen. But for me, even when people would ask me, was I okay? I would lie and say, oh yeah, I'm fine. Oh, I'm good.
Yeah.
Like, you have to be brave enough to actually, speak your truth. You have to say, I'm struggling. Can you help me? Can you guide me? But you also have to know that you have to love yourself enough to want that help. To know that it's going to be hard. You have to say, this is hard, but I want to be better. I have to be better. Because I'm not going to get nowhere if I'm not going to get better.
Yeah.
Ain't no purpose. Like, if I'm here just sitting here being sad, why? I'm not getting anywhere. I have to want more for myself. And that's what I had to do. I had to want more for me. Can't wait for somebody to come and save you.
There is no such thing. There is no such thing as being saved. That's part of the brainwashing. That's part of the things that we've been taught. Those are part of the things that we heard growing up, that somebody is magically going to show up in your life and they going to save you. The only person that can save you is you. There is nobody that's going to save you. You know, so that's hard because a lot of people are struggling with the fact that they've been lied to all their life. You know, that whatever they heard or they told or was taught to them is a lie. And that's hard for people to accept, especially when they have self-esteem problems, when they suffer from self-sabotaging. I know because I had all of those issues. I cared more about what people thought about me than I cared about what I thought about myself. And so I could definitely relate to what she's saying. If you don't love yourself first, but you got to figure out how to get to that place to even, oh, that's it.
What do you do
They
on those
kicked
days
me
you don't
off.
feel?
Oh, that was good. They kicked me off, though. Okay, guys, on Facebook. My Instagram ended, so If you still want to chime in, you could join on my Facebook.
What do you do?
Uh-oh. Where is my archive? Yes, okay. Boom. Alright, what's up, everybody? No! I deleted it. No. Oh my goodness. Oh. No. Oh my goodness, man. No. No. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, good. It's on here. Alright, cool. Okay. What time is it? 7 o'clock?